Okay. Let's see if I can make this go to my Facebook profile too.
Okay.
So many people need help.
Oh, I know.
We're on YouTube right now, so that's a good thing. Yeah, this is a hot topic.
It is self-care.
Oh my gosh, it's such a hot topic.
Good. Hopefully I can give some tips. I just prepared a few things because I didn't know about what all would be asked. Well, I do have your questions, so I am prepared to answer those.
I
Yeah.
don't think I'm going to go through all of them though, because I really want you to share with everybody. And we are on all these Facebook spaces and YouTube. So we're going to get ready to look. I'm trying to get to my spot so I can see what we're doing and what we're looking like on
Okay.
these public spots. Oh, okay. I see us on here. The only thing is I can't respond to these questions, but hey, we're up and running. And I'm not going to mess with that because I don't want to mess with our volume. Oh, Sarah, I'm so excited that you reached out to me.
Yay!
Yay! I want to ask you questions, but I want to know how you've been. It's been how many years has it been since I've seen you?
Probably 10 or 11.
Whoa.
Yeah,
11
probably.
years and you got a new little one in the midst of all.
Yeah. Well, yeah, in the process of that. So 8 years old, the baby. Um, yeah, it's been a while. I
Wow.
miss everybody. I miss you guys.
Oh, we miss you too. But you know what? We're connected now, so it's a good
Okay.
thing. So
Yeah.
I just want to say welcome to
Thank you.
Transformation by Carmen. It's all about women empowering women. And thank
Yes.
you for being a guest to share, Sarah, to share what you're doing, share your organization, your information.
Okay.
Can you introduce yourself to the audience so everybody can know who you are?
Yes, my name is Sarah Taylor. I'm a trauma therapist. My business name is Tailored Therapy. So it's a word play off of my last name, Taylored Therapy. And I have a private practice located in East Lansing where I see people who have experienced trauma, especially in their childhoods.
Mm, wow.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing this, Sarah?
So I've been doing this for, it's hard, it's kind of hard to say because if you're a therapist, you deal with trauma even when you don't really know it. But on my own, so I started contracting with therapists and working under them. And I've been doing that for about 6 years. And then I branched out completely full time on my own 2 years ago, like with no part time job, no other support base. Well, besides my husband, but nothing else. Just me and my business. Just it's been about a little over 2 years.
Wow. What a leap of faith, huh?
Yeah, I was pushed into it because I'm a thinker and I'm like, things have to make sense. I have to calculate, I have to do this. So it things just got set up perfectly where it was like you have no choice now. You
Wow.
need to do this. Yeah. Yeah.
I love
So
it. I love it.
yeah.
So I was gonna ask you what got you started, but you kind of started telling us what got you started, right?
Well, it was yeah, I started under other therapists, but what I noticed was so that allowed me to learn the business and still do the work, still meet with clients face to face. That's I think that's my favorite part. But at least right now. But I noticed a lot of the people that I was seeing, at least 95% of them had either an issue with anxiety or an issue with relationships. Like they felt that they couldn't maintain or form healthy long-term relationships. So just through training and me kind of researching it more and trying to figure out what is really going on, I stumbled, or I guess I kind of learned about something called CPTSD, which is complex PTSD. So very similar to PTSD. However, it's more developmental, and is not just one traumatic event like with PTSD that can be like a car accident, where with CPTSD, this is trauma over and over again. So sexual abuse, emotional abuse, growing up in a home where there is domestic violence, growing up with a parent who has an untreated mental illness. So that's more. I recognize that. Wow, I think my clients are struggling with this. So I started niching myself and kind of taking trainings and learning more about that, and that's where I built my business around, because that was just a big need, a great need.
And
Yeah.
you are from Detroit, right?
Yes, I'm from Detroit. Yep.
That's awesome. So it's so much going on, especially in Detroit right now with the COVID-19
Yeah.
discussion. So um,
Yeah.
prayers to everyone who has lost someone or has someone that is, sick and fighting
Yeah.
for life at the moment. Prayers to the world for this.
Yeah.
This is serious, right?
This is very serious. Very serious.
Wow.
Very.
So when I think about what you shared too, what keeps you going right now, Sarah? Especially because you're a therapist, but this is in your face every day.
Yeah, it is. So part of it, of course, support from my family. And then I have to recognize to allow some space between me and the stories, because they do get heavy. I have to recognize that I didn't cause or create the problem, and I don't make myself responsible for the solution. I work with the client, but I try not to put it on and say I have to fix them, I have to help them resolve this. So I give myself some space to and it also humbles me and allows me to say, okay, let's work together on a solution. But the thing that keeps me going, I would say, seeing my clients come in broken and feeling that they're not where they want to be in life or where they feel they should be in life, um, excuse me, or feeling that they have just terrible relationships. They're like, why can't I find someone? Or why is it that me and my mom don't get along? That sort of thing. And after they learn some communication, learn how to assert themselves, learn how to deal with their own anxiety and their own lack of self-esteem, seeing them kind of progress and move into more of who they are, and begin to work their purpose, that helps me to know or feel that, wow, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, or at least part of my purpose. So that really keeps me going or keeps me motivated.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That, wow. Sarah.
Yeah. Carmen.
But you know what? So this was a question that just popped in my head. So I'm
Okay.
thinking about, especially being Black, right?
Hmm.
We often as Black people
Hmm.
don't seek therapists for our families, and even for ourselves, right? We always, if we have faith, we like, well, the Lord's going to fix us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we pray or we mask and we hide the fact of really getting help for our families. And so then to add this whole COVID-19, which, if you never battle with depression, I'm sure that you get to experience some of this, right?
Hmm.
But then if
Yeah.
you have some depression, that's some underlying depression that you've never dealt with, then you add the COVID on top, and we don't have the people contact right now. We're in the
Yeah.
house, and
Yeah. That's
uh,
huge.
healthy humans like to be around healthy humans, right?
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, what are you seeing, especially because of speaking from a people who been hiding or not really taking care of ourselves? And we know that May, they're saying, is self-care month, but you know what?
Hmm.
Self-care month needs to be 12 months out of the year.
Right. And every day, every day.
Every day. So can you share what you've experienced and what you
Mhm.
recommend? Give us some help.
Yeah. So what I see, I know in my own family, and I had to initiate this. I started a Zoom family game night
Okay.
because I'm like, we need to connect. We're all over Michigan for one thing, but um, I'm like, we have to connect, and it's gonna just be through online mediums, but still, we have to at least see each other, hear how each other are doing. Another thing that I'm seeing kind of old stuff coming up. So people have already dealt with issues of feeling alone or abandoned or feeling that they don't have proper support or proper emotional or financial support. So I'm seeing those things reemerge. It's like they're being triggered, and that's when I talk about if I bring this back up again, if I say CPTSD or complex PTSD, it's kind of like people are having flashbacks, but they're emotional flashbacks. It's kind of like my body remembers this. My body has recorded that I've been alone, I've been isolated, I've been left out. And so they're being triggered by what's happening now. It's like, wow, I remember feeling alone and feeling isolated. So I see people kind of numbing out, not talking, just staying in Netflix. They're like, I don't even need people. I'm used to not having to rely on people, and I rely on myself. So they kind of isolate and numb out, which of course is making things worse. I'm seeing people who are saying I have to connect with people, so they are taking that risk and going to see their cousin or riding around to visit somebody. So, but for the most part, I've noticed that some of the old stuff is reemerging. Those old, I call it trauma wounds. Just I feel abandoned or neglected, or I feel isolated, and so they go into their natural defenses. If I'm used to being abandoned and isolated, I know the best thing, relationships and people can feel dangerous. So the best thing for me to do is to kind of numb out and stay to myself because I don't want to risk being disappointed. So I'm seeing that a lot, and it comes out as far as a diagnosis, because that's kind of how I think or work. It comes out as depression, of course, and anxiety. Um, Even though it may not look like that, they may feel that I'm still functioning, but I can't deal with people, or I'm just going to numb out and do this and not really try to connect, not get outside or walk or anything like that. But yeah.
So when you talk about depression and it's so easy to say, "Oh, that's not me," or "I'm not depressed."
Yeah.
What are some signs that, or something, the indicators that let us know that we have some depression going on?
I think the biggest sign are your thoughts. Your thoughts. What are you thinking? Is it just a negative focus? This won't work out. I'm not doing this. People don't care. Just what are your thoughts? If you can capture your thoughts, you can really gauge where you're at. And then looking at your behaviors. How are you responding to life, to people, to circumstances? Irritability is a big one. A lot of people will just think they're in a mood, or they just had a bad day. But if you're irritable or you have like this unexplained anger, a lot of times underneath that is depression, or you're just like, I can't deal with people. I see this in the grocery store. I've had clients tell me this. They're like, I just don't like people. They're in the way in the grocery store. They're just irritating me. And so I kind of lean into that and ask more questions because I know that there may be something underneath that. But but yeah, there are definitely different indicators, but I would start with the thoughts. What are you thinking? What do you notice that you're saying to yourself?
Wow. Wow. So, wow. And you're right. We all have somebody in our family. And whether we want to be transparent or not,
Hmm.
even the healthiest person in the world
Yeah.
will fight to not get in that depression space, right? I've had
Yeah.
moments, in my life where I've had certain thoughts, of not liking who I am at one time, or not
Hmm.
feeling like I'm good enough, or
Yeah.
not feeling like I can fit in this space, or not feeling like I belong somewhere, or you
Hmm.
know, and then if you stay in those thoughts too long, you might get stuck, right?
Right. Right. You start believing them.
Right.
You really do. It's kind of easy sometimes. It's kind of easy if you've rehearsed this, or especially if you've heard this before. So if you grew up being criticized or feeling that I don't really fit in, or I got to be better, I have to be perfect in order to be good enough, then those things, if they haven't been negotiated or healed, I would say, um, they come back into your adult life because they're familiar. So your mind and your body pick up on them, and it catches on like wildfire. It's like, I'm going to take this on because I've already been trained in this. I've already heard that I'm not enough, or people already told me my nose is too big, or I'm not dark enough or light enough, or my hair is not this or that. So it becomes very familiar and easy for these new things in our adult worlds to kind of latch on to us, and we're like, okay, this is what I know. So you're right. Most people, I would say, probably have struggled with depression in one way or another.
Wow. And it's interesting because we have so much glamorous stuff that we could buy and put on,
Hmm.
I could put on lots of lashes right now, and my whole foundational face, and which I don't have any on. Not my hair, or put on my wig thing, and you can go get it, as my daughter says, booty shots and injections, and because and I think that's sometimes a part of really not liking who we are, or at times trying to fit in
Yeah.
to places that, even though you may go get all of that, the richest people in the world who can afford all of those things are suicidal at times, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So when you speak, can you speak from that space too? Because and I think it goes back to kind of what you said, but what are some points that we can do as people, especially right now, because you don't have access to some of that right now. So if you don't know how to take care
Yeah.
of yourself right now,
You
and
might be struggling. You might be feeling like I don't look good. I don't feel good. Yeah.
girl,
You may be struggling. Well, one thing is you're not alone. So you may find that other people. I noticed that coming outside, I'm like, everybody is rocking ponytails or whatever. And I was for a while until I figured something out. But so recognizing that you're not alone, and it doesn't define you, whether you decide to have the add-ons or not, it doesn't take anything away or add anything to your value. I think your value and your worth, that comes with you from birth, but along the way we kind of unlearn that. But just recognizing you at the core, your value is at 100%, your worth is at 100%, and it can't be subtracted from. So no matter if you decide to add hair or lashes or whatever, you have to know that, or make sure your value and your worth as a person is intact. And so if you feel that it's not, then there's some work to be done. What messages are you believing? What are you telling yourself? What's feeling true for you that may not be true?
that's good.
Yeah.
And reminding yourself, I'm beautiful just doing like this. I'm beautiful
Yep.
without my fake lashes on. I'm beautiful
Right.
without having my nails all prettied up with bling, right?
Absolutely.
I'm beautiful because God created me.
Right.
I'm
Absolutely.
beautiful because I have a God that created me, and I'm made in His image and in His likeness. So I am, from a faith-based person. I tell myself this on a regular basis so I don't get
Sure.
caught in the lie, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that's definitely useful. And then kind of sitting back and listening to who's telling me that I'm not. It's
Mm,
always a contrary voice. Like, who's telling me that I'm not beautiful? What messages, and where am I getting them from? And why are they attaching themselves to me? Do I have an open door for this? Have
mm.
I behaved or responded in a way that lets me know that I'm not good enough? Have I put on shame in front of people, or put myself in a position where I feel that I'm not worthy? So looking at who's really saying this to you. So stopping the lie is what I call it. Stopping the lie.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
It reminds me of um even as blacks, we say good hair. Oh, you got good hair.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just asked somebody recently, what defines good hair?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want your hair really, really short, that's good hair for you, right?
Right. If that's what you want.
If I want to put a weave on, that's good hair too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we have labeled ourselves and hidden behind so many different identities.
Yeah.
It's like this identity crisis in the world, and then the world gets a crisis on top of the identity crisis.
Right. Right.
It's
Yeah.
woo.
I think it stems back. We can't dismiss or ignore, um, just talking about Black folks or African Americans, whatever you say. We can't ignore that early trauma. Just researchers are learning that trauma is not just, it doesn't just stay with the person. It can be passed on through the bloodline because, of course, your nervous system, all of that is a part of your DNA. How you respond, how you think, what irritates you. So you may find, I noticed there are some things about the way maybe my mom respond that I have a very similar response. Like I get irritated about the same things. So we're two different people, but somehow that was passed on. So we definitely can't not dismiss what slavery has done to our ancestors, and then down the line what we've had to fight for, just to even get to this point where we could say, well, I can buy the home that I want, I could live in the neighborhood that I would like to live in. And then on top of that, the trauma, the undealt with trauma, systemically and through society that we're experiencing, just with the police. And I mean, just people calling the police on us, wanting us to be in trouble. It's like people are always in a hyper vigilant state. Again, that PTSD, always scanning your environment, feeling that, am I going to be safe? I noticed I caught myself doing it. And my husband was on date night and riding through one neighborhood to get to a restaurant or something, to get some to-go food. I felt nervous. I'm like, oh, I know the police wait out here because they want to catch people speeding or whatever. And I felt myself clench up and just kind of had that thought, do I have my cell phone? That's a traumatic response. Your nervous system, everything has to go into a fight, flight, or freeze mode to be ready to respond. And we're putting our bodies through this on a regular basis. That's going to have an impact on your thinking. That's going to have an impact on your whole world. So we definitely have been traumatized as a people, and it affects our identity. We feel that, if we don't look a certain part, we can't get in or we won't matter. It affects a lot of things. So I think as a people, we definitely need to be healed, and especially spiritually, but also just with just common validation that you do matter, that you are worthy, and you don't have to get other people's permission for that. That comes with you. That's that value and that worth that comes with you. So yeah, there's a lot of work to be done, and that's part of my work. Or my next phase, just kind of researching and looking for dollars to help African Americans and to receive trauma services in the way that they need them, because a lot of people don't want to come to an office. They don't trust everybody with their story. Some things are very personal and very painful. So sitting in the office or doing it as we're doing online, it may not be comfortable for everyone. It could feel foreign. So, but just having that information and those resources out there and helping people to recognize that you are experiencing trauma. Your body, it may not be happening the way it did in the past, but your body doesn't know that. Your body is still responding. So you may be getting these emotional flashbacks like, oh, I feel alone or I feel abandoned, like I talked about earlier. So yeah, I've definitely haven't ignored that part, and I'm definitely aware of that. And that is part of my next phase of my work as I build my business and branch out of doing some of the face-to-face client work, just really advocating and getting on boards and changing things, because it's a problem, and it always has been a problem.
I'm glad you say that too, because even with in the space that I work from, I do some consulting work, working with women exclusively a lot of women, helping them with resources, a lot of changing paradigm,
Mm,
to believe in yourself. You know, there's women
yeah.
sometimes, you know, I'm a divorced woman. You know, it's been a long time ago. I've been married now for 28 years this year.
Wow.
But
Congratulations.
I know, right? But you know, when I first left a marriage with two young little girls a long, long time ago, I
Mhm.
had to make the choice and the decision to tell myself that I'm worth whatever I want. I
Yeah.
I'm priceless.
Right.
I deserve more. I had to, you know, eliminate all the self-defeating behaviors and thoughts that come along with,
Yep.
oh, thinking that you need to stay in a bad situation
Mhm.
and being concerned about what someone may say or think or treat you in that.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a courageous thing to follow who you were called to be. It's
Right.
courageous to not just take care of yourself, but also to take care of children. And I know I am not the only mom in the world who has had to do that, but I think it's important for women to know that there are people such as yourself when their thoughts get too far and they need
Yeah.
some coaching, some coaching from somebody who is educated in that space.
Mhm.
So even when somebody comes to see me and they're asking me advice, and once they go so far, my thing is, have you thought about talking to a therapist on that?
Yeah.
I know where I can take you, but I know I'm not, my calling is not to treat you with or diagnose you when you get to a certain point to tell you that,
Right.
girl, you need to not commit suicide over this, because I
Right.
can say that, but you have the expertise and the knowledge to give them the tools and the strategies so that they don't complete the act, right?
Yeah. I feel that I do. And even with that, there's this thing where we have to identify where the line is drawn. So what's in my control and what's not in my control. So definitely, again, I've sat with many people that were on the edge or saying, you know, what else do I have to live for? This is gone, that's gone. People don't treat me right. You know, I've sat with tons of people and I've had to call or get them to Spiro or whatever because it was emergency states. But then there were people who had more passive suicidal thoughts, meaning they didn't have a plan or real intent, but they just didn't feel that things were working well, and so they kind of imagine what would life be like if I were not here. So sitting with them, finding out kind of the root of those thoughts. Why are they here?
Mhm.
These thoughts are here to tell us something. So not just dismissing them and saying, stop thinking like that. You don't need to think like that. But really getting in there and sitting with the person and even validating their thoughts. So again, that worth, that value, even your thoughts matter, even if they're not the healthiest thoughts. Let's get in there and sit with them and find out, why are they here? What are they communicating to us? Why do they matter to you? Why do these thoughts matter to you right now? um, and finding out, trying to open up some space where we can get new thoughts in there. So allowing them to wonder, what if this was different? What are some steps that we can take to make things different? How is it that we can help you to have hope? So yeah, it's I feel that I do have training for that, but it's always risky, and it's always kind of a grief process that I have to go through, just seeing people in that state and seeing them so disconnected and disheartened by life. You know, so we never want to see that, but I'm grateful that I have been able to help people in those states.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Good. So some what are some things that you can share with some individuals for the space that we're in right now? Some tips and pointers that they can do to stay focused on their health and their healing. You know, my thing is journal your thoughts. I've just
Hmm.
told somebody that who called me this week and they, you know, was like, well, I want to start a business, but I just don't think I can do it. Or I had another person, they say, well, I've started this business, but I just don't feel like I'm good enough. So, success, I always tell people, it's not that we have a money problem, we
Hmm.
have a mind problem.
Yeah.
Because if our mind is not strong enough, that mental, that muscle, that toughness in that muscle, it
Hmm.
just don't, it's not just there. It's got to be developed, doesn't it?
Right.
So
Right.
if you've not developed that muscle to be strong, and that's, I give all my credit to God for showing me how to strengthen this muscle up here, because
Hmm.
I would be no different than the next person who wants to give up because of
Right.
a lot of the life issues and places and spaces that I've been in could have really shaped my future, but I had to choose, to be strong in that capacity to get past, I'm not good enough, or I
Yeah.
don't fit in, or why am I not selected for this position?
Hmm.
Or, why don't they like me? Or why am I not invited to that party?
Right.
Why isn't he my husband?
Hmm.
Why didn't we not stay married? Or why is my child not the way I want them to be? And I've done everything.
Yeah.
I had to stop blaming myself. I had to stop saying, taking credit for stuff. And the stuff that I did wrong, I had to forgive myself. I had to
Yep.
ask for forgiveness and learn how to forgive myself. And I got to go on, because if I
Yeah.
don't, I'm going to be stuck and I won't have, this mental toughness up here will be gone. It'll be like mush.
Yeah, I like the part. I like that what you said as far as forgiving yourself. That is something that I work with people on. Forgiving yourself for not being perfect, but then I take it a step further and I ask them if they can forgive themselves for feeling that they needed to be perfect, because that's a part of the process too. It's like you have this huge critic or telling you you got to do this right, you shouldn't be doing that, you should be doing this, and guilting you constantly, and you feeling that I have to constantly transform myself and be better and do this, and it's just a lot of weight, and it's really kind of speaking to the I'm not good enough how I am. Not saying that we don't need to improve, but it just speaks to that part of us that says you're flawed or you're not good enough. um, so I asked my clients, I've asked people, are they able to forgive themselves for not being perfect, but then also forgive themselves for feeling that they needed to be perfect?
That's good.
To, yeah, just to be, to show up in life, to be present. We kind of tweak it. And I know I've had an issue with this, overthinking things like, no, I can't get started. I can't do my business. I need a new laptop. I have to have a building. I need this. I need all this stuff. And I'm like, no, I don't. I just need an idea. I just need a piece of paper and a pen. And I have that. Those are basic tools. That's usually all we really need when you talk about needs. It's like, I just need a pencil and a piece of paper, and just to start writing and creating my plans, my first steps, and start walking in them. So, but that not good enough will stir that stuff up. Like, I need this. I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. I don't have enough money. You don't need those things to start. You just would like them, and that will kind of coat you to make you feel that now I'm ready. But you don't need them. So I like that part about forgiveness, because that's a huge part of healing. Is huge. I didn't realize that until I had to face that in my personal life. Like, I didn't know I was still holding grudges. I didn't know I still had like this negative pipeline connected to people. And I'm like, oh man, that doesn't feel good. So so I try to make sure I'm staying in that frame of mind to release it. If it's not serving me, then I need to let it go.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you were going to share today some good coping strategies, or some resources that you wanted to share with the audience today. Can
Yeah.
you share something with us?
Yeah. So things that I do, or ask clients to do in session, I could share a few of those things. So one thing I've noticed is that a lot of people, you talked about journaling your thoughts. A lot of times people will, we call it ruminate. They'll have thoughts just kind of going over and over again in their mind. Sometimes it will stop them from sleeping. They're like, I'm just worried, I can't sleep. And they can't stop the thoughts. So I ask people to give their thoughts another container. Allow something else to hold them for you for a while. So that container often is a journal or a piece of paper or a notebook. Like allow that paper to partner with you and be a container. It's like I have these thoughts in my mind, but I'm going to write them down because I need someone else to hold them for me because I'm not sure how to manage them. They're just looping over and over again. So journaling is very powerful. Some people don't like to hear that word journal because it sounds like another job. It's like something else I have to commit to or do. But you can simply call it just I'm allowing my thoughts another container. So that's huge. If people do not like to write, you can record them in your um, cell phone. So just speaking, these are some things I'm concerned about, but also speaking, what are some first possible steps that I could take towards resolving the matter?
Mm.
So allowing yourself that space. With highly anxious people, they have to kind of schedule time to worry. And I know it doesn't sound like a good thing, but the thoughts won't leave. They're like, I have to mull over this over and over again because this is something that really bothers me. So they have to give themselves time to really sit and think about those things. And I think that's okay. Like allow something else to hold them for you and partner with you. And then the other thing I talked about, or another thing I talked about negative self-talk or capturing negative thoughts. So if you notice you have the I'm not good enough, people treat me badly, or life isn't fair, if you have those themes running in your mind, write them down. And so an activity that I have done, I'll ask clients to write them down in pencil, like write out the negative thought in pencil, but right underneath that in red ink or something that's really going to stand out, write out a combative positive thought towards that. So if you have the thought of I'm not good enough, people don't like me, then you write out a combative thought in red ink because that's the thing we want you to see whenever you look at that paper. So you may say something like, I do matter. I don't have any proof or evidence that I don't matter. I have value and worth. I don't have to prove myself to be, I don't have to be perfect to be loved. I don't have to work for love. I can work from a position of love. Um, I have a right to not be perfect and make mistakes. I have a right to learn and grow. I'm perfect right here, right now, in this moment. So anything like that, you have to really combat negative thoughts because if they find that this is a comfortable place or a home for them, they will settle in and really stay or stick around. And that's when we see chronic depression. So if the thoughts get really comfortable and they're like, okay, this is a good place to hang out. She accepts me, she pays attention to me and doesn't do anything with me, they'll get very comfortable. So you want to again give it a container, write it out. Writing it out also creates some space because when it's in our mind, it's hard to really negotiate or come up with a good solution. So if we write it out, it creates some space between us and the problem, and we could see it more objectively. So writing it out in pencil and then making sure you combat it, come back with that thought, writing out a positive statement or something that proves that that statement may not be absolutely true. It may just be how you feel right now. So that's a very helpful technique.
Can you give us
Reading.
one
Go ahead.
example of how you would phrase that for someone who may need an idea of what that looks like?
What part phrase the
That statement, and then how you would write something to combat that.
okay. So you would just say exactly what's coming up in your mind.
So let's pick like one thing, like, I'm not good enough. You know,
Yeah, I'm not good enough. People don't like me.
okay,
People don't like me. So you write it out exactly how you hear it or how it feels. Like I feel that people don't like me. They don't invite me. Um, my favorite cousin ignored me or whatever it is.
right.
Get it out on paper and then come back with it. Like, has she always acted this way? Do I have proof that this is true? Um, do I feel that I like me? I like me. I am good enough. I do have purpose. If this person does not like me, that doesn't mean that everybody else feel the same way.
Right.
So really getting some different language in there is what I'm trying to say. Really, really showing yourself that, hey, this thought may not be true. And even if it is true, it doesn't have to take anything away from my core self.
Mm.
Yeah. So hope
That's
that it makes sense or I explain
no,
that.
well, no, that was very, very good. Um,
Okay.
and I'm sure there's lots of comments on the social media platform that I can't respond to.
Right.
But wow, this is good. Before we wrap up, what's a good gem or nugget you would like to share with individuals right now that could be helpful, and then also how they can reach you to schedule, a session, or if you are offering anything for the
Yeah.
audience at this time.
So a good gem or nugget, I put this on my business Facebook page, which is Tailored Therapy.
Okay.
Um, so I'll give a little bit of foundation to this comparison. I've recognized that comparison in a lot of ways can be very dangerous. It's always going to be an apple to oranges comparison when you compare yourself to someone else or your business to their business or what they're doing to what you're doing, and you end up feeling that I'm missing the mark or I'm not doing it the same way they're doing it, so I must be doing it wrong. It's always going to be an apples to oranges. So you could be an apple, but trying to make yourself into an orange. So you have to be okay enough with yourself to do it your way and to say this is where I'm at right now. I don't have all the technology, the tools, the money, or whatever, but this is what I do have, and this is something valuable. So comparison can be risky, and what I've also learned about comparison is that just because someone else, it seems like they're winning or they are winning, it does not automatically mean that you have failed. And I think we have to separate the two. Just because someone else is doing better in a certain industry or making more money or on Facebook or whatever, doing their thing, it doesn't mean that you have failed. And I think we get that message. They're doing it better than I am. So I'm not good enough, or I don't matter, or people won't listen to me. That is not true. Those are two separate statements. They're doing well, period. I'm where I am, period. So they don't have to merge. So creating some separation. So I've had to learn that with myself because, of course, being a therapist, like even the building that I'm in, there are probably 100 other therapists. And we go to similar trainings. We do some similar work, but we all have our own twist on things because we are apples and a bunch of oranges. We're just gonna be different. So that's the gem or nugget. Be careful. Try not to compare your apple to somebody else's orange. Two different fruits. Two different fruits.
So
Yeah.
how can they find you
Oh
and
yeah.
hear about you, or set up a time to come in and talk to you, so that you know the gifts and talents that they have on the inside that have not come out yet, and they're afraid to get them out,
Yeah.
they can come and see you so you can show them what to do, and then they can come back to see me so we can go further.
Right. So my website, www.tailored, that's Taylord, therapy.org. Email at Sarah Taylor at tailoredtherapy.org. Facebook, Tailored Therapy. Let's see, my phone number, 517-481-5584. So anyway, and what I do is I schedule consultations, 15-minute free consultations, just to find out what the needs are and if I'm the best one to meet them. If I'm not, I don't leave people hanging. I connect them to other resources, but I also don't want to assume or connect myself to everyone because I don't want to assume that I could meet everyone's needs, because therapy, it is a relationship that you enter into. It's a therapeutic relationship, and so you do want to make sure you feel okay or you feel that you could be safe and vulnerable with that person. So, yeah, the consultations are very important. They save a lot of time and energy on both parts. But yeah, that's how you contact me. Or Psychology Today. I'm also on Psychology Today.
Oh, look
So,
at you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
various ways to connect to Sarah Taylor.
Awesome, Sarah. I so appreciate you taking the time today to talk to the
Thank you.
audience. And audience, I hope and pray that you take something away from what Sarah has shared today and take it a step further and reach out and talk to her. And I agree with Sarah. I always say that, what I have is not for everybody,
Hmm.
but I'm for somebody.
Right.
So we have to know the lane that we fit and the customers that we are called to serve.
Hmm.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right, Sarah, give her a call. And as far as women, empowering women, if you have a message, a story that you want to share, this is the platform that I've created to help more women in business, but also more women who has something to say. And you know what? Your say right now could be, I want to give some cooking tips away. I want to give some nutritional tips away. I want to help some people become better in organizing their life.
Hmm.
Hey, those are important, especially right now. You wouldn't believe
Right.
how many people send me messages that don't know how to cook. And we need to know how to cook right now.
Hmm.
Pinterest and all those different spots will help you. So this platform was created so that we can help more women and men. If you listening, some of this may apply to you. Come
Hmm.
together so we cannot just be successful on the outside, but we want to be successful on the inside. We want to affect the whole person, because if the person is healed and well inside, then it's going to exuberate and you'll be that person on the outside. So let's not just be this person that looks like it. I always say I'm not the label that I wear, right? Because some days
Hmm.
I might have on a Goodwill secondhand store outfit. You just don't know, because I know how to clean it up really good. Because
Right.
it's always just about who you are. You are the brand and the label wherever you go. So
Hmm.
however you treat people is key. So if you feel like you've not been your best, that's why you want to talk to Sarah, and
Hmm.
she can help you accomplish those places and spaces. So if you have questions or you want to follow up with me, you can reach me. As you see, I'm in lots of spaces. You can find me on Facebook. I have a few websites, transformationgems.com. I have transformationbycarmen.com. And soon I have a membership site coming to help more of us professionals and personal development people come together so that we can build a global tribe across the world together. So again, I just want to say thank you to the audience for jumping on and hanging out with Sarah and I. We appreciate you, right, Sarah?
Yay, I do. Thank you. Thank you, Carmen. I'm glad you have this platform.
I am
This
so
is a
happy
blessing.
you found me.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes,
you,
I am
audience.
too.